Alright. Good afternoon, Stoics. What's going on? Today, we're just got a little bit of tallow that we're in the process of rendering. Get us a nice fresh batch. Oh yeah, look at that. See that gelatin right there? Stuck on the bottom? So I've kind of come to figure something out. If you don't put enough water in with your tallow when you're rendering it, you'll end up with this gelatin on the bottom. And all that is, you know, it's all good. We're gonna scrape it off the same as we always do. But you start getting, that's what we're looking for. We got these impurities in the tallow. So we're just gonna go through, scrape all those off, but enjoy. Just wanted to do something in the background while we talk today. Today I wanted to talk about what's indicated in our nutrition. You know, me being carnivore, I hear it all. I hear we're omnivores. I hear our teeth. You know, why don't we have teeth like tigers or lions? And then when they start questioning what you're eating, you know, you're gonna ruin your kidneys. You're gonna clog your arteries. Everything like that. So to address all these, you know, I know most of the time I do shorts, but we're gonna do a longer form, that way we can get it out there. So let's start with the teeth. Okay. Now, I feel a lot of this, according to the Darwinian principles of evolution or whatever, you have, evolutionarily speaking, you have positive and negative selection pressures. Okay? We have opposable thumbs. We have the ability to reason. We have the ability to build tools. Lions and tigers, whatnot, are lacking one or more of these essential components. So they had to adapt in a different way, whereas we did not. We don't have to chase down prey and tear their throats out with our teeth or our claws, you know. We have tools, we have spears, we have hammers, we have axes, bow and arrow. We have all these different mechanisms. And the evolutionary need for us to develop these certain physical characteristics wasn't necessary. Therefore, back in the day when we were frugivores, you know, the need wasn't there for us to adapt in that way. Now, when we did start eating meat, you can see this very dramatically. When we did start eating meat, our brain size, and our musculature and our bone density and everything skyrocketed. The size of the skull skyrocketed when we started eating meat. So that's kind of that in a nutshell. If anybody's got any other questions pertaining to that, you know, feel free to reach out to me in the comments and let's discuss it. Now, another bit of what's indicated, evolutionary process and whatnot. We have the remnants of a cecum. We have an appendix that's vestige. It's something that's there but not used. Gorillas have a 4 foot cecum. You know, it's like that big. But that specifically harbors a bacteria for breaking down plant fibers into short chain fatty acids. But still, the gorilla's diet is devoid of vitamin B12, which we'll get into as far as indication here in a little bit. But we don't have a functioning cecum. So, is it indicated for us to be consuming and breaking down plant fibers or plant bones, as Kent Carnivore Lee, looking at you, so eloquently phrased? Plant bones. We can't digest them. We can't break them down. And that goes for fiber in general. Fiber causes microabrasions in our gut lining, in our gut health, and it causes inflammation, it causes infection. It opens a can of worms that doesn't point to fiber as being indicated for our species, for the human species. And everything shows that, contrary to popular belief or what we're taught, that fiber is unnecessary. It can very well fall into the category of a plant anti-nutrient, because you'll hear some people talk about how fiber is necessary because it blocks the absorption of sugars that we might derive from carbs. Well, while that might seem good, what else is it blocking? Is my question. If it's blocking the absorption of glucose in any form, which, by the way, carbs, starches, sugars, whether they're refined or natural, or fructose or glucose, all the oses, sugar. It all breaks down to the same thing chemically. And if fiber blocks sugars, back to our original point, if fiber blocks sugars, does it block iron? Does it block calcium? Does it block protein? Does it block fats? So that's my question to you. If fiber is indicated, then why is it that we can't break it down, absorb it, digest it? It simply causes microabrasions to our gut lining and our digestive tract, and then we pass it if our body is incapable of absorbing it. So looking at all of this very factually about what is indicated, fiber falls onto that list of not indicated. Now, what about carnivore? Okay, well, our body has 5 organs, I believe, to produce components that break down and absorb animal fats. The breaking down and absorbing animal fats, your liver creates bile, your gallbladder condenses bile, and I believe it's your pancreas that secretes it. Your liver also does, depending on the demand that is required, which then moves to the amount of fats that we're taking in. Now, for those of you new to carnivore that are experiencing loose stools, it's normal. Our body is an adaptability miracle. It's wild. If you are taking in less fats, your liver will begin to produce less bile. It will not produce as much because the need isn't there. Now, that brings me to another point about what is indicated and what is not, is the effect of hormesis versus tolerance. A hormetic effect is when you expose your body to a stimulus and your body adapts to it for a net positive benefit. A tolerance is where your body just becomes better at processing it, breaking it down, and getting rid of it. Now, while this may lead to a tolerance, the alcoholic might be able to drink a gallon of whiskey and seem sober or seem to not get drunk as fast. Does their liver become more tolerant, or will they eventually develop alcoholic fatty liver disease? Is it still detrimental to their health? And the unequivocal answer is yes. Eddie Goki, if you guys don't know him, I would highly recommend binging his channel. He references smoking a lot. And while you might, after a while of smoking, cough less because of the initial exposure to the stimulus, that is the smoke, it doesn't lessen your ability to develop lung cancer. It doesn't lessen the chances that your body becomes hormetically adapted to it, just tolerates it to a certain degree, but it is still doing damage. Now, you might be asking, what is a hormetic stimulus? Let's say going to the gym. You're going to go to the gym, you're going to do damage to your muscles. That's the pump, that's the soreness, that's whatever symptom you have. If you don't tear a muscle, you are causing micro tears to the muscle fibers. Now, the adaptation to this process is inflammation, which we'll get into in a separate video. I'm working on a series that has to do with these so-called chronic diseases. And one of the main characteristics of these is inflammation. So we'll dive into that later. But back to the gym. Micro tears in the muscle causes inflammation. Inflammation is part of the healing process. The body then heals the muscle, but then as you go to the gym consistently, muscles get bigger, muscles become more resilient, muscles become more enduring, your VO2 max increases. So that works out to a net positive, a net benefit. That is hormesis. That is a hormetic effect, which really should be taken into account. Is there a net positive effect? So physical stimulus to the muscle, not to the point of gross injury, catastrophic injury, tear of muscle fiber, whatnot, but a stimulus to the muscles that causes them to grow. That is indicated. That would be indicated. And you think about what we as a species have evolved to, this modern life, this modern comfort. We don't have to chase down our food. We don't have to stalk our prey. We don't have to go out foraging for berries and fruits and plants and roots and whatnot. It's a 5-minute drive to the grocery store. it doesn't, the physical demand just isn't there anymore. And that's why we have to implement certain stimuluses. That's why we go to the gym. That's why there's this huge culture of bodyweight exercises and calisthenics and whatnot. So indicated versus what is not indicated. This isn't console wars. It's not about which is better, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. It's not about which lifestyle is better. Vegan lifestyle, carnivore lifestyle, standard American diet, which is a combination of sugars, carbs, fats, proteins, along with a whole plethora of synthetics, with food dyes and whatnot. That is, it's about what is indicated and what is not. So I would love to have a discussion with any of you in the comment section. I would love to dive into it. Feel free to ask me your questions. But let's have a discussion. Let's go for it. But yeah, indicated, I am pro carnivore because through my research, everything points to this being the most indicated, the most bioavailable, the least need for supplementation, the highest rate of absorption for our bodies, the most beneficial to our bodies. And so I'm excited to read your comments. Let's get into it. But that's about it for this one. Indicated and not indicated. But let's dive into it. All right, get out there, break a sweat, eat meat, stay stoic. See you.